Have you ever heard a sound in your house at night that you just couldn't explain? A creak on the stairs, a whisper in the static of a baby monitor. For most of us, we dismiss it. We tell ourselves it's just the house settling, or our minds playing tricks on us. But what if it isn't? What if something else is settling in with you? Tonight, we re-diving into a story that starts with a child's imaginary friends and ends in a parent's worst nightmare. This is the chilling tale of the children under the bed. Our story begins with a fresh start. A single mother, let's call her Sarah, moves into a charming old house with her 7-year-old daughter, Lily. It was everything they dreamed of. A big yard, a quiet street, and a cozy little room for Lily, painted in her favorite shade of yellow. The first few nights were peaceful. The house was quiet, and for the first time in a long time, Sarah felt a sense of hope. But that hope began to fray at the edges, starting with a simple goodnight kiss. One evening, as Sarah tucked Lily into bed, she whispered, "Good night, sweetie." Lily, nestled under her covers, replied, "Good night, Mommy." "Good night, them," Sarah smiled, ruffling her daughter's hair. "Them? Who's them?" she asked playfully. Lily pointed a small finger towards the floor. "The children under my bed," she said, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. Sarah chuckled. Imaginary friends. It was a normal part of growing up, she thought, a sign of a healthy imagination. She played along. "Well, tell them good night for me, too." She closed the door, completely unaware that she had just acknowledged something that wasn't imaginary at all. The next day, things started to get strange. Sarah found Lily in the living room, surrounded by crayons and paper, drawing with intense focus. When Sarah looked over her shoulder, a cold knot formed in her stomach. Lily was drawing stick figures, but they were distorted with unnaturally long arms and hollow, empty eyes. And in every single drawing, these figures were crammed together under a crudely drawn bed. "Who are these, sweetie?" Sarah asked, trying to keep her voice light. Lily looked up, her expression serious. "These are my friends. They said they used to live here." Sarah knelt down, her earlier amusement turning to unease. She forced a smile. "That's very creative, honey." Later that evening, after Lily was asleep, Sarah's curiosity got the better of her. Armed with a flashlight, she crept into Lily's room. The air was still and quiet. She knelt down and peered under the bed, sweeping the beam of light across the dusty floorboards. Nothing. Just a few lost socks and a forgotten toy car. She let out a breath she didn't realize she was holding. It was just a game. A silly, slightly creepy game. Relieved, she went back to her own room and fell into a restless sleep. But sometime in the dead of night, she was woken by a faint sound drifting from the hallway. It sounded like giggling. Soft, childish giggling. She sat up, listening, but it was gone as quickly as it came. It must have been a dream, she told herself. It had to be. The following nights, the unsettling occurrences escalated. Sarah would be washing dishes and catch a fleeting movement in her peripheral vision. The television would flicker to static for a moment, just long enough for a faint whisper to cut through. One morning, she went to open Lily's curtains and saw them. Tiny, grimy fingerprints on the inside of the window pane, far too high for Lily to reach. Her heart hammered against her ribs. She asked Lily about them, but her daughter just shrugged. Later that day, Lily came to her with a chilling message. "They said they want to play with you, Mommy. They said you're lonely." That was the breaking point. Sarah's maternal instinct was now screaming that something was terribly wrong. That night, after Lily was fast asleep, Sarah placed her phone on the nightstand in her daughter's room, set to record audio. She needed proof. She needed to know if she was going crazy. She spent the entire night wide awake in her own bed, staring at the ceiling, listening to every creak and groan of the old house. The next morning, with trembling hands, she retrieved her phone. She plugged in her headphones, took a deep breath, and hit play. For the first few hours, there was nothing but the soft sound of Lily's breathing. And then it came, a whisper so faint she had to turn the volume all the way up. It was a child's voice, raspy and cold. "Is she watching?" Then another voice joined in. "She can't see us." And then a third voice, clear as day, sent a shard of ice through Sarah's veins. It whispered, "We're not under her bed anymore." Sarah was paralyzed by a new kind of fear, a fear that had teeth. The recordings confirmed it. She wasn't losing her mind. There were others in the house. That night, she couldn't sleep. She sat on her sofa, clutching a cold cup of coffee, until the digital clock on the oven glowed, 3:11 a.m., and that's when she heard it. The soft, unmistakable sound of bare feet padding on the hardwood floor upstairs. It wasn't one set of feet. It was several. Pitter-patter, pitter-patter. Her blood ran cold. The footsteps were coming from Lily's room, but they weren't moving around in her room. They were walking out of it and heading down the hall, toward her bedroom. She froze, every muscle in her body locked in terror. Her eyes were fixed on the bottom of her closed bedroom door. A shadow appeared in the gap, a small, child-sized shadow. Then it was joined by another, and another. They stood there just outside her door, silent and still. The air grew heavy, thick with a sense of ancient malevolence. Time seemed to stop. Finally, mustering every ounce of courage she had left, she whispered into the darkness, her voice cracking. "Sweetie, are you awake?" The silence stretched for an eternity. Then a voice spoke, not from the hallway, but from right beside her ear. A soft, chilling whisper that smelled of dust and damp earth. "No, she's with us." This story taps into one of the most primal fears a parent can have. The inability to protect their child from something they can't see or understand. The horror isn't in a monster jumping out, but in the slow, creeping dread that something is fundamentally wrong in the safest place you know, your own home. It is the innocence of a child, his imagination being twisted into a conduit for something sinister. What would you do? How would you fight an enemy that exists only in whispers and shadows? Thank you so much for joining me on this terrifying journey tonight. If you enjoyed this story, please hit that like button and subscribe for more dives into the darkness. And don't forget to ring the notification bell so you never miss a new nightmare. Leave a comment below and let me know what you think happened next to Sarah and Lily. Stay safe, and whatever you do, maybe don't look under the bed.